Welcome to the Sonic Tributaries Podcast, featuring
Eric Jellicoe, Dylan Keelan, TJ Pastore,
where we discuss
music,
we jam, we play, we hang with special guests, focusing in on local tribute bands, regional tribute bands,
and everything music.
Strap yourself in for a hell of a time.
tremendous. It was really fun.
Fan-freaking-tabulous, buddy.
Sounded great, Steve.
Yeah.
All right, everybody. Welcome to the Sonic Tributaries podcast, sponsored by the Rock Shop Nyack and Clarkstown Heating, Venting, and Air Conditioning. My name is Dylan Keelahan. This is my co-host, Eric Chalicombe, and my producer, Mr. TJ Pastore. And we are here joined by Mr. Steve Pavlovsky.
That's right.
How'd I do?
That's right.
I got it.
That's good enough. Yeah,
Pavlovsky. Good enough. I'll take it.
good enough.
And,
Better than Nick Mason did.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's definitely better than Nick Mason's pronunciation.
And thanks, Steve. Just to do a little quick plug and promo of what we're doing, even though this episode may air later. Myself and Eric are in a tribute band called Dark Side of the Hudson.
That's right.
And Steve is going to be joining us and doing his Liquid Light Lab thing at our event, which is fucking awesome. Thanks,
Yes.
Steve.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
And
Yeah,
thank you again
absolutely.
so much for coming up and doing this with us as well.
Oh yeah, yes, yeah. This is gonna be fun.
It's going to be fun for sure. And so what we're doing is we're doing Dark Side of the Hudson, which is clearly a Pink Floyd tribute. And we are on the Rockland County side of the Hudson River. And then there's the Westchester side of the Hudson River. So Dark Side of the Hudson is our little play on what the right side of the Hudson is. And who knows? Who knows which side is the dark side, which one isn't?
It's all dark.
It's all
Yes.
dark. Matter of fact, it's all dark.
That's right. Especially at nighttime.
Yeah. Well, we started this band years and years and years ago. I want to say like 12 years ago. And it started with like just a couple of people. Hey, we should play Dark Side of the Moon in its entirety. That was my friend Schwiz, actually. He came up to me at a jam and said, hey, man, we got to do Dark Side in its entirety. And I said, yeah, we do. And then we, recruited the appropriate personnel that we knew. And we said, let's find some people who also will want to do this just for the sake of doing it. And I remember the first rehearsal. I was very nervous. I knew every bit of it. I knew start to finish, push play. I could play everything and sing everything and do everything. And so could everybody else. So everybody that showed up to practice that day knew the entire Dark Side of the Moon. And we just played it.
Sick.
The whole thing right there at the first practice. Not like, hold on. Wait, do you know the part with Breathe where it's supposed to be this chord? No. Start to finish, we played the entire album on the first practice, and we were like, we got a thing.
I think I've told you this before. Yeah, I think I was at that first show before I knew you.
Yeah.
You had short hair then.
Yeah.
Looked totally different.
No.
I was the only person standing up. He's seen me in that situation.
Oh my god. You were like you were like fifth row, the only dude standing up. Like, I have video of it. It was kind of cringe.
That's fantastic.
I'm shocked.
Into it, man.
Yeah. I'm shocked. Well, so yeah. Anyway, this touches really, really close to my heart to be able to do this, and we're going to be performing Dark Side of the Moon and Wish You Were Here in their entirety. And what we do is we have some very unique footage that we play right down the middle of our show at a big projector, and it's footage that the band used to use when they were touring Dark Side of the Moon, and it's footage we've compiled, and then what's going to happen is on stage left and stage right, stage left, stage right, you're going to get Liquid Light Labs is going to do their projection thing there, which is fantastic. And I'm really excited for that. And then live and unplugged business, we got
Turning Point.
Turning Point.
Yeah, March 30th.
Right. And we're waiting for our Bud Light sponsorship. As soon as we get that, we'll start putting them here.
That's right.
And I'm having a good time playing this music again and relearning it and rehashing it. I literally have it tattooed all over my body from Pink Floyd and Animals and Wish You Were Here. It's just incredible music, and I'll never get over it. And I'm happy to have discovered a couple of other Pink Floyd nerds that just know the history of the band.
Yeah.
And let's get into it. So, Mr. Steve Pavlovsky, how'd I do the second time?
It's good. Good.
I'll keep trying.
Go call me a little steezy.
Little Steezy.
Mr. Steve is our guest.
Yes. Welcome.
Thanks, man.
Absolutely.
Thanks for coming here, and really appreciate that you're going to be working with us. That's super exciting, and I've nerded out about a lot of the stuff you have on YouTube, and I was on your website a lot, and I would like to start with, how did you get into music first before we go to what you do now professionally?
Music. I mean, just one of these things. So like early high school, just loving music, being a fan. You know, it's like the same reason why I do light shows. I'm like a fan of music, you know, and kind of like grew up like idolizing Pink Floyd, you know, idolizing Zeppelin, things like that, you know. I mean, I'm into all kinds of music. You know, I was into like really into rap. I'm still like super into hip hop and pretty much like everything, you know, honestly. But like when I started playing music, it was like just rock, you know, and it was until like, it's probably been like, I don't know, 94 maybe or something like that.
Wow. What instrument did you start on?
I started off with acoustic guitar my dad got me, but then I got into bass because I had tickets to see Lollapalooza that year. It was going to be like Wu-Tang Clan and something else, and my parents found weed in my sock.
Oh, no.
That I had stashed in my, because we were smoking in the car and I was paranoid that we were going to get pulled over, so I put it in my sock, forgot it's there, and then we spent the rest of that whole day like looking for it. We thought we left it at the diner, we're going back. A week later, my parents find it, and they're like, oh, you're not going to Lollapalooza. But I had this ticket, so I traded somebody that for a bass, for their bass and their little practice amp.
Oh, wow.
And that's just, you know, from the bass, that's really got into that, and then, you know, moved on to other instruments and, you know, producing and things like that.
That's fantastic. I love that story. So accidentally, you
Accidentally
became a
got
bass
into
player.
bass, yeah.
Based on you and your friends being like, we forgot where the fuck you put the weed, man.
Like, so we didn't go into like the diner, like, hey, did we like leave anything here? Like, trying to be slick about it.
Like if a drug dealer robs you, like, hey man, like I'm gonna call the police on you. You go to the diner and you're like, did anybody leave anything in here? Like,
yeah, exactly. Like we were, you know, and this was like the '90s. It was still illegal, you know. Like you still go to jail for it.
Oh, sure.
You know, it was like a thing. Like now you're hitting the pen in Walmart, but like
maybe you are, Steve.
I would never do that.
Absolutely not. Great. So, okay. So playing music, you're in your teens, you're playing music, you got the bass, you got the electric bass, you traded it from your friend. That sounds awesome. So did you ever play in any bands or anything like that?
Oh yeah. I mean, I played in all kinds of bands. I mean, from that band, we had a you know, an actual garage band. It was like a bass, drum, and two singers. You know, it was like a punk band. You know, we started recording and, you know, kind of like accidentally learned about like recording on tape. You know, like you could plug, this was a tape deck where you can plug into both the left and right channel. I didn't know that there's like a left and right channel back then, like completely ignorant. So the whole album, all the recordings are just on like one, you know, side of, eventually I digitally like bounced it over to the other side. I mean, but then I moved on to just like, you know, making beats. And then I had this like, I had this project, Count Druncula. I was like a rapping vampire who steals people's weed and beer. I'm sounding terrible on this.
Epic. I don't
I'm starting to sound like a junkie on this
I wish
already.
I still had my copy of that. I gotta find it.
Wow. This is great. This is
Rapping vampire, blind, Count Druncula. And like I would like rap in that voice, and then but learn to make beats, and then just kind of, you know, like just having passion for it, you know, like all self-taught for the most part. Played in a couple other bands here and there, then got into other instruments, you know, keyboards, 5-string banjo. Eventually, it was still like a hobby and stuff like that. And then maybe like the 2000s, friends of mine who lived in upstate New York, they asked me to come and play in a band with them. Because I already kind of known, you know, they kind of knew me from some of my like joke albums, right? Count Druncula, but it was kind of popular in our circle of friends.
It's kind of a big deal.
It was kind of, it was just so over the top that like it got attention.
Igor put down that cream.
That was one of the songs.
The hit, off the album.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it was weird, but it was weird enough that people like, you know.
It was a Halloween show.
Yeah, it was funny. Yeah, and then these guys just asked me to play in a band upstate New York, where we were actually like several bands. One of them, we were like a dinner jazz band. We played at this like, I don't know, this place up in Saranac Lake called the Tail of the Pup. It's basically like an outdoor huge barbecue. It's a tourist trap, but they got bands playing there. So we played kind of like jazz. And then we were also a Wain cover band.
Nice.
We'd call ourselves Mean. So we'd also go and get gigs as Wain. And then we were our own band, Big Dice, where we played kind of like the songs that worked best from those bands plus our originals.
Oh, fun.
Yeah.
You know, and that was cool because that was kind of like, I'd always done creative things, like just done them right out of passion, but never really considered that it would be like a thing for me. You know, but that was like the first time when I kind of went from being just like a younger guy trying to figure out what I'm doing with my life to like getting a chance to now being in a band and like actually kind of, you know, these are like small tours, but we toured from like Buffalo to like Burlington, Vermont, and all northern New York and down to Albany. And as the first time doing that, I was like really like, wow, this, you know, it felt cool and it just, you know, kept going from there, played in other bands, and eventually got into light shows because of a band I was playing with who were like, you know, they were good musicians, but they were so boring to watch. Like no stage presence.
Like
they were just like, it was
shoegazers.
like shoegaze, but it wasn't shoegaze. Like without the gaze.
Should have been. Should have been
just
rock.
kind of like,
It's a shoe.
yeah. It was just, I was like, yo, you guys need something. You guys need like a light show or something. And then, you know, I can get into all reasons why I chose to go with the liquid technique instead of like digital stuff. But yeah, and then progressed from there and then found a whole new life, you know,
Right.
after that. And
Well, that's sick.
Yeah.
So just let me follow this timeline here. So you're just kind of screwing around on this bass you got, and then, okay, cool. Now all of a sudden people are calling, you're like getting into bands. Then you got a like semi-professional opportunity where, you know, it's professional, but
Totally,
like,
yeah.
you know, you're touring around and you're making some money, but it's not crazy money. It's like bars and stuff.
yeah, you still got to have another job. But it was
Yeah.
the first time somebody actually paid me to do something
Right.
creative.
You know.
And that never happened before.
You know,
Yeah.
we're all there. We're all
Yeah.
still kind of there. We get paid, we play, we do our thing. It's beautiful, and then we find the professional thing. It's
Yeah.
still great. Yeah, so that's fascinating. So then, how did the transition from playing with these people, like you just suggested, okay, here's lights, and then did you go all in to the lights, or were you still just kind of half and half playing, half mute, like half lights? Where were you at?
Yeah. I mean, it was kind of like another thing. It was like playing music. It was like, you know, other types of art that I did, like, you know, graffiti or like graphic design. I was into that kind of stuff. And it was just kind of like another thing. But like, I can kind of tell after the first couple of shows, because what I do is like, for people who don't know, it's a liquid light show. It's an old school way of doing things, or a classic or a traditional way of doing psychedelic light shows where you're using like, as most basic level, it's like oils and waters, and you're putting them on an overhead projector, and you're projecting them and making these like colors and these shapes move in real time with the music. And it was just kind of like I was doing this stuff, and like the thing is, I was getting like more attention doing that. Like I can just feel it palpably. Like people would come up to me after shows and ask me all kinds of questions.
Right.
And as a musician, that never really happened. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, you know, like, I mean, you just feel it. Of all the creative things I'd done, the response was there, and then just kind of did it for a few more years until I decided, you know, I was going to school for graphic design, actually. I was going for like a second degree. I have a college degree in philosophy. So it's kind of why I was kind of like fucking around throughout my 20s.
What is all this?
Yeah, exactly.
Where
could,
am
like,
I? Who am I?
I don't make any money, but I know why. That's what that was about.
Oh, so let's just can we just focus about like, so you were talking about how like the physics and how like what actually happens when you're making what you do now. So Steve's Liquid Light Labs is his
Lab, yeah.
lab.
Yeah.
Liquid Light Lab is
Yeah,
his
yeah.
main business.
Yep.
What he does. He's done a million shows with a million people doing what you do, right?
Oh, yeah.
Various YouTube stuff I kind of
yeah.
delved into, his website, stuff like that. So let's just like boil down what it is you do. You said you use the oils and you mix them together and you use a projector to do it, and you said it kind of quickly, but let's kind of slow it down.
Yeah.
Because I want to know what the fuck is going on here.
Yeah, I mean,
so
it
you
comes-
got a bowl, right?
Yeah.
Most of the time you have a bowl. And
Clock face.
Clock faces or et cetera, and you're putting immiscible liquids like oil and water, things that don't mix.
things that don't mix.
Things that don't mix.
And why don't they mix? pH, right?
Physics. I think it technically would be like density. And
Density.
surface
Yeah.
tension. Well, also it's the polarization on an atomic level. Like you have, I might probably messing this up, but you have like
think you are.
you have polar and non-polar bonds of electrons, and certain things, one will attract, one will not. So like water is one kind, oil is the other. I should know this, but I'll look it up in 2 seconds.
Well,
Great
but that's
answer.
cool. That's really cool.
But that's the physics of it.
so the
you
physics
know.
of it, and
Yeah.
it's density, basically, and then beyond that, it's atomization of electrons and protons and stuff like that.
Somewhat.
Somewhere
yeah.
there?
Yeah, I mean, mostly, I mean, you know, at the end of the day, it's really, I mean, that would be at a microscopic level, things related to that happen. But this is kind of like, it's basically a way of like painting, right? Like you might like, you know, you paint those things and you can see like those colors don't mix or whatever, and you create a picture. So it's kind of like I'm using certain processes that I've just figured out that work or don't work or do different things. I can put other chemicals or substances in there that'll activate it and make it behave differently. And then I also like squeeze it, the liquids with another piece of glass. And so basically it's like a magic trick where you just kind of like I hide my hands and you just see the liquids moving. And those I can, because the liquids that are not mixing are being squeezed between two plates of glass, you only really see the liquids. You know, and then so that kind of stuff I can like manipulate with my hands and move it around. And with that, you know, catch rhythm or different kind of, you know, phrasings or, you know, just the feel of the music at the time. You know, if it's really intense, I'll go intense. If not, I'll, you know, if more chilled out, I'll mirror that as well.
Wow.
Cool.
You know?
So that's how the liquids aspect of it works. And so,
It's a simplified version. I mean, yeah, there's a lot more farther you can go with it, but at its most basic, yeah.
great.
Yeah.
And so like you're just really in tune with the show and you're in there with pieces of glass. And what else do you use to manipulate the liquids?
I mean, there's just so many different like ways. Like there's kind of like, I guess the two things that I use would be like the squash plate, which is what I described, which is something that, you know, where you squeeze it between two plates of curved glass.
Okay.
And then you can also do blow plates or floaters where you have an open tray, an open dish that's glass. In my case is a Petri dish. And in there I'll have something like various oils and water as well. But those are kind of like floating, so I can blow those around with water. Or I can spray like alcohol in there, like isopropyl alcohol, and that'll kind of cause a reaction. It'll make it like do things.
Wow.
Wow. You know, and those are kind of like just the two techniques that I use most. You know, what I do though comes out of like a bigger tradition of like psychedelic light shows that were started in the 1960s with like in San Francisco, and then kind of started popping up other places around the world really when people realized like, okay, we have this new music as a counterculture, you know, things were changing and the psychedelic thing was like a thing, you know, so they started doing like light shows along with music and it was integral to rock early on in those days.
UFO Club.
The UFO Club, yeah.
Which bands used them?
I mean, you know, it started off with like, kind of like, first with like the Beats would have like earlier stuff. This guy, Elias Romero, he's kind of like sort of a founding father of the technique that I use using an overhead projector, even though he learned it from somebody else, Seymour Locke. And like any art thing, nothing happens in a vacuum.
Sure.
You know, but you know, the first bands that use it, it's probably better actually to say the clubs or the places because every band would play there. So in San Francisco, like the Longshoremen's house, it's like, you know, for the Longshoremen's Union. Or like the Fillmore, you know, then the Fillmore West later on, the Avalon Ballroom.
Right on.
These kind of places would be places where, you know, rock was still starting, so it was so small. It wasn't like this behemoth that it is now. It was kind of like, it was almost a local, it was like a local thing in San Francisco. And so it was a lot more organic in the way that things kind of, you know, developed, which is kind of like, get somebody who knows how to do these like lights and stuff. So you had early people, Bill Ham, Tony Martin. They also did the acid tests with like Ken Kesey and all those people and the Merry Pranksters.
Merry Pranksters.
Yeah, but the bands that, you know, that really would be associated with this era are like the legendary ones. You know, the Grateful Dead, Jefferson Airplane, Pink Floyd.
Doors ever do it?
Yeah, the Doors, because it was
played the Fillmore or
because they
something.
play those places.
Yeah, yeah.
Right.
Iron Butterfly.
Iron Butterfly, who
Darn.
who actually have the Joshua Light show on the album cover, and they stole they used the photo of the band with the light show behind it, but they didn't credit the light show.
Oh.
This
And
is
Bill-
his friend Joshua.
And
He
Joshua
was a big fan.
Joshua Light show, they're probably the best. I mean, they, in my opinion, are the best light show of that era.
Oh.
And they were at the Fillmore East in New York. He's like a friend of mine, become a mentor to me. And you know, we're good friends. We talk all the time about stuff. But anyway, you know, this was like upsetting. This was like sort of disrespectful. They also changed the artwork to make it look like something that it didn't. Anyway, Bill Graham, you know, the famous promoter and impresario, wrote a letter to all the bands coming through after that. If you use any photo from this night for promotional purposes with the light show, you have to credit the light show.
Right.
So it was really cool that, you know, it had, you know, light shows at this time also had a level of that kind of respect. If you look at old rock posters, a lot of times a light show is named on that poster. So you would see like, this show is happening at the Fillmore, and you'd see like Big Brother and the Holding Company, Grateful Dead, and lights by Little Princess 109 or Glenn McKay's Headlights or The Headlights. And
It was out of respect.
it was out of respect. Yeah.
Right on. So help me understand more about this situation, Steve. So like, okay, you got venues have their own kind of rig for liquid light, which is essentially the oils and the various things that don't fit together.
Yeah.
Okay, so now I'm just simplifying it. Help me out, right?
Yeah,
So there's people.
There's other things that go on in the light shows besides just the liquids. Like you would have slide projectors.
Sure.
Like the Kodak slides that we might know from kids, or film projectors, or just taking light, like shining lights on pieces of metal and then bouncing those lights off onto the screen. So it would be like pretty much anything at that time that can create some sort of like light and motion on the screen was used.
And so it was, as far as projection methods go, like the technology is you put the whatever is being projected on top of what you're doing.
Oh, like you mean like when you project?
Like, how do you get like what you're doing up onto the screen? Now, I know, just so you know, but I want you to explain so that our listeners can help figure it out. So you're putting an essential, like a lens onto the bowl.
Well, I use the classic way is an overhead projector, like a classroom projector where it's a vertical cursor.
There we go.
Yes.
Overhead projector, it shines up, illuminates the liquids, it passes light through them, and it goes up to a mirror, a lens, and out.
Okay, great. So can you slow that down one more time? So it goes from here up the classroom projector, hits the mirror, goes out to the screen.
And just goes out there, to the screen, exactly.
Beautiful. And now, I saw you do this live at Nick Mason's show at the Beacon, and I was watching you more than I was watching the band. Sorry, Nick. He's definitely not listening. Because if he is, he's going to sue me for the footage I have. Anyway, it was a great show. Thanks for inviting us. That was beautiful, and having us as your guest. It was awesome. But I have to tell you, honestly, I was watching what you were doing and what was on the screen more than anything else at that show. It was fascinating. So just one more time to recap, you got a bowl full of cool stuff, liquids that don't mix, goes out through the projector, out through that. There's a lot more than that, I understand. I just want to make sure that everyone...
in a modern concert environment, the classic way to do it is an overhead projector. But in the modern concert environment, I have a light tablet, and I pick it up with a camera.
Oh, okay.
So the classic way would have been like with an overhead projector and all that. But now it's the same concept, but the image passes up, goes to a camera, and now that camera, it can go direct to a digital projector or a video wall, or something modern. Or in my case, I run that through a video mixer, other cameras that I mix together, even a little computer on the side that plays other artwork that I created, and that would be like the 2024 version of the 60s light show.
Cool. That's fucking awesome. So 60s light show, they were like, hey, we could figure this out. Here we are, 2024. We got new technology, but yet we're still kind of borrowing from the same technology.
Yes.
So my next question to you is like, where's your next, like, where do you see this going for yourself? Are you going to try to go on tour with someone, or are you happy working like various gigs? Where are you trying to head with this?
I take it as it comes, honestly. Because I make my living off gigs. I also have done video commissions. I worked on a couple of movies and TV shows. And then I also have a store where I sell, because I put out a bunch of videos on YouTube that turned out to be kind of popular because I showed people about how to do this. I told people about how to do this. There was no information on there. It was a dying art. Like, it used to be a secretive thing back in the day. You wouldn't really want to tell other people what you did because you didn't want them stealing your stuff. But like, I just felt we were past that because, I mean, I can barely get information about how to do it. People would think that I invented it, and I'm like, no. So I was kind of like, all right, it's okay to like let go of somebody's secrets. And there's still many secrets and individual things that artists get. But through that, these videos got kind of known. And then I eventually got this whole business where I sell various dyes, glass, all kinds of tools to make this stuff. Liquidlightshop.com.
Thank
There
you.
you
That's
go.
what I was going to ask you to hit.
Yeah. DM me. I'll give you a 10% off coupon.
I have a quick question for you, actually. Besides the psychedelic rock, have you ever done any other genre styles of show? You know,
Oh, yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
something like this. You mentioned hip hop before that you would liked
Yeah.
hip hop. I kind of see this actually going with that as well.
Oh, yeah,
So
yeah.
I didn't know if there was something else. Yeah.
Yeah, totally, and especially like younger people of a younger generation. You know, rap's changed a bit now. There's more elements of psychedelia and weirdness in it, you know, than the era that I grew up in. So yeah, I get younger people younger than me, you know, hitting me up and stuff to be like, you know, can you help me out with my video or something? Because it's just, and I appreciate that because, you know, as much as I do love like the 60s and rock and all that. You know, we're living now. So it's like I love that it's evolving and it's not just being limited to this one hippie genre, which it came from and was commonly associated with. It's starting to become a bigger part of, you know, hopefully a bit more into the zeitgeist there. And you know, I just think art has to grow and, you know, maybe it'll grow to the point where hippie stuff will just become irrelevant with this art form and it'll be something. I don't know. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing.
Got to keep it alive, man.
Gotta keep it
Yes,
alive. Yeah.
absolutely.
So yeah.
A thing.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll use special promo code Rockshop 20 or like
No, Rock Shop 10. 20 only comes around the holidays.
Oh yeah, Sonic tributary stand.
I don't got that kind of money to give away.
Steve, this is fascinating, man.
Yes.
So
Yes,
like,
it is.
holy shit.
But some insight into his portfolio, like Jim Dunlop got in touch with
Oh,
him.
yeah,
They
I've
paid
done-
him a bunch
yeah.
of money to just design something that they put on a Jimi Hendrix.
Jimi Hendrix pedals.
Cool.
Yeah.
Wow.
That,
Jimi
that
Hendrix
show,
pedals.
The Offer,
Yeah,
that's
it's great.
about the making of the Godfather. There's a scene that takes place in a psychedelic
Yeah.
club. They used his artwork for that.
Yeah. It comes on
HBO.
this on Paramount, HBO. The show High Maintenance.
Great. What else have you done?
If there's a movie with Benedict Cumberbatch and Claire Foy, Electrical Life of Louis Wain. It's on Amazon, and it's about this like crazy artist from England about 100 years ago, Louis Wain, and he drew these. I had it at a time like these. You know, he had mental illness, but he drew these like psychedelic cats.
Really
they were
distinct style,
cartoony
yeah.
with like big eyes and trails coming off them, and you know, really like tripped out stuff. And you know, and it's a movie about him. And so there's a part where in his life he has a mental breakdown. And it was sort of like a trip sequence where basically he goes into this other realm and he comes out and, you know, in a mental hospital on the other side. And so I did the visionary scene where basically he's, you know, having these visions of like his cats and his paintings flying at him. And it's all these trails and trippy shit coming off him that I added.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you know, I'm fascinated with your work with Nick Mason, of course, as a
was
big,
fun.
gigantic Pink Floyd head.
Yeah.
Did you do more shows with him other than
Yeah.
the Beacon?
Yeah. I've done a few shows with them. Did a couple of when they first came around to New York. We did the 2-night run at the Beacon, and then I also did the Capitol. I did another show at the Beacon. Might have done one more, I think. They actually asked me to go on tour with them for the whole North American thing, but I for various reasons, personal reasons, I couldn't do it at the time. You know, and then so I did kind of offer to do a leg of it, but they needed somebody to do that whole thing and stuff. You know, part of me is kind of like, you know, I wish I had done that. At the same time, it's, you know, don't live with regrets.
Yeah, you gotta
It
do
is
what
what
you
it is. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So,
for sure.
yeah.
And the one show you did was the show that Roger Waters was.
Oh yeah. Roger Waters sat in with us.
Yeah.
Set the
He
controls.
set the controls. Yeah.
Legendary. That was not the one that we were at. That was
Unfortunately, it was like the year
the
before.
year before.
It was yeah.
It was the year
I saw Roger Waters backstage. You know what Roger Waters looks like up close?
What?
Holy shit, that's Roger Waters. Like I used to come out the stairs and I was just like, I mean, I was starstruck with Nick, you know, and I met
Yeah.
Nick and I was like, you know, pretty starstruck with that. And then I saw Roger Waters. I was like, holy shit, man, that's fucking Roger Waters.
TJ, you remember our Roger moment? Do you
Oh
remember?
yeah, dude. We were at the show. It was Albany.
Albany.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
We were so close that he looked at us and like.
Oh, yeah.
with us.
Dude, we
during
were
S&M.
Us and Them comes on, and you know the chorus is going, and it's just me, him, and his cousin standing up again. As
Oh,
you
yeah, your
mentioned
cousin.
earlier, to come full circle.
Mini Ralphie?
We're standing up. Everybody else is in floor seats, just sitting there with like probably on their phones, kind of half paying attention, and we're there like, holy shit, stoned, obviously, drinking, obviously, having a grand old time, having a wonderful time, and there he is, and then the chorus comes. funny cry, and we're like, oh my God. And so we're screaming our lungs out, singing the chorus of Us and Them, and Roger just goes, and zones in on us. And I don't mean he looked at us for like 5 seconds. Would you like? I'd say 30.
Well, he was, it was like, it can't be
Really?
helped. It can't be helped. Can it? And that's
Yeah.
what he asked us.
Yes.
We're like, nope.
No, and we were
man.
just like, and then after he moves because it was in the round, so the concert was in the round, so he moved to the other side of the stage.
The Us and Them tour.
Yes, yeah, no,
No, it was the last
no,
one.
it was the last one.
Oh, but he's got the cross, the stage,
Yes.
just
Yeah,
like a big
yes.
series of
We saw it.
And then
pedals,
TJ just goes like this, dude. Do we just have a moment with Roger Waters, dude?
Locked eyes.
Yes, we had a
Yeah.
moment with Roger Waters, dude. Like,
Did you say elephant shoes to him?
no,
I don't even know that
shoes.
reference.
no.
It looks like it says like "I love you."
Yeah.
Oh, right.
Oh, no. No, but we were clearly, but he looked right at us for like
Oh,
30
man, it's
seconds. and
powerful.
Obviously, I'm still telling this story. So, did you actually get to meet him and like shake his hand and everything?
Not Roger. No, because they didn't even tell me until like right before the show. Oh yeah, Roger Waters is going to be here because it was secret, you know.
Of course.
So I didn't even know he was backstage. But I did meet Nick, you know, before that. And then when they came by again, I met Nick again and got a picture with him. And you know, I come from like my family. Like my mom is a huge Pink Floyd fan. I grew up listening to Floyd. Like you know,
too.
she claims that she married my dad because he used to look like young David Gilmour. He had to get the long hair, you know.
Handsome.
Yeah.
He's kind of a handsome guy back then. He still is, you know, even
Yeah.
though he's like 65. But actually, he's like 75.
75.
I should know. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, Dad. You listen to this. That's all right.
But yeah, like, so my, of course, fascination with Pink Floyd goes back to my youth as well. My parents had that, a collection of dance songs.
Oh yeah.
That like
Yeah.
greatest hits album, and it had like a re-recorded version of Another Brick in the Wall on there. And I'm like, so I never really heard Another Brick in the Wall Part 2 because that was a re-recorded version of it, as far as I know. And like they did that a lot. They re-recorded a lot of stuff for The Wall.
Really?
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
yeah. So The Wall, the movie, has different recording.
Oh yes.
Yes.
Well,
Yeah.
there's some
yeah.
even different tracks.
Yeah.
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 And then they took like When the Tigers Broke Free from like The
What
Final
shall we do
Cut.
now? That's
Yeah.
actually one of my favorite.
What Shall We
Floyd
Do Now
songs.
is
Yeah.
amazing. But it's so nice to meet another Pink Floyd geek and like,
Oh yeah, I love this. I mean, we became friends. So I know TJ because we were next door neighbors our freshman year in college. You know, and bonded in part that, you know, late nights watching. We watched Pompeii on like
Oh, on repeat, yeah.
on repeat. You know, coming home on the shrooms, putting that on. Like,
When I first met him, he was carrying a bass guitar case that had a 4-foot bong in it.
my family used to be watching this, man.
Right? It's fine.
they still love you.
fine.
I know.
Yeah.
They still love you. It's okay. We're all older
I'm
now.
kidding. No, nobody cares.
It's fine now.
It's fine now. It's acceptable. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like Pompeii
I'm
is
kidding.
just
Yeah.
such an epic
Oh yeah.
moment.
So epic.
Yeah, so epic. So like the pre like 73 Dark Side stuff, the pre Dark Side stuff, like that's what the Nick Mason band was playing.
Yeah.
What's your attachment to that?
Like as far as the music goes,
Yeah.
that's my favorite era.
Oh, right.
I mean, I
on.
love it. I just that old garage rock, you know, and of course, you know, Sid's just the way you know his music writing and storytelling, like the way he did everything, and then they had that experimental period, you know, leading up to like metal. You know, I mean, I just love that. Yeah, I because I didn't actually know. So I grew up with my you know my mom really liking Floyd from everything Dark Side on.
Right.
Like I didn't know until I found the Relics cassette compilation of like I think CMLE Play was on that and maybe Arnold Lane, like the old stuff, and I had no idea that was Pink Floyd. So I heard that I was like, wow, this is like, you know, it's a lot different than the polished, you know, the 70s on stuff. And I was like, wow, and that's when I found out, oh wow, there's this whole other Pink Floyd, you know, pre Dark Side and all that.
And you can see the evolution and all
You
those
see the
little like
evolution?
glimmers
Yeah.
of genius, like.
Oh yeah.
But it really cemented. I think Echoes was the first time like Floyd really found
Yeah.
their sound,
Figured it out.
I think
and
so.
it kind of bridged into
Yeah.
Dark Side, you know.
For
I think
sure.
so, too.
They even say that. They even are quoted saying that.
Yeah.
Yeah, for me, it feels like there's so many different eras. There's like Sid era.
Mm-hmm.
There's in between Sid and Echoes
weird
era.
point.
Yeah, there's the weird era,
Point
like
Me at the
obscured by
Sky.
cloud.
Yeah, which has good
Point Me at the
stuff.
Sky. Yeah, it does have good
Great
stuff.
stuff. Like,
great stuff,
You know,
yeah.
Childhood's End, all
Yeah.
these wonderful, like Adam
Yeah.
Hart Mother stuff. It's incredible.
Yeah, those are awesome, honestly. I
Yeah.
mean, yeah.
Well, I didn't mean to turn this into the Pink Floyd podcast.
I don't care. I can talk about Floyd all day.
I know.
Absolutely.
I know. And so could I. I could just talk about them all fucking
I've got
day.
a More soundtrack tattoo.
No, you don't. Uma Guma on my ass.
There you go.
Sorry about that. All right. So, Steve, you know, how can anyone, thank you so much again for coming on here.
Yeah, my pleasure.
Absolutely, man.
If there's anything you want to tell anybody or anything you want to touch upon, like about like how we can find you, what you're selling, what you're
Oh, yeah.
doing, please just, what are you doing?
I mean, my main thing, I'm most active on Instagram. So Liquid Light Lab, all one word on Instagram, liquidlightlab.com. My store, liquidlightshop.com. You know, that's where you can find stuff. You can also go to my YouTube, Liquid Light Lab, where I have a lot of history videos, tutorial videos, process videos on there. And yeah, you can get into, you know, yeah, and you can hit me up. You know, I mean, I'm pretty open. I talk to people all the time. I get a lot of, you know, I talk to a lot of people. I get a lot of questions and things and stuff like that. Because I'm kind of known as a person that, you know, helps promote this art form and teach people how to do it and all that. And I'm pretty open. I don't really, you know, I like to see more people do it and more people get into it and stuff, you know. So, yeah, I mean, yeah, come talk to me. I talk about this shit all day.
Fantastic.
Right on. And Eric, we got, what do we got? We got the Pink Floyd show. We touched on that.
Yep.
Sonic Tributaries. We touched on that. You can check us out, hopefully, at sonictributaries.com, Instagram, Sonic Tributaries. We're going to be working on that. Hopefully, we're releasing all this stuff really soon. You used to be able to check us out at darksideofhudson.com, but
Used to be able to.
yeah, I got hacked.
Yeah.
I got hacked. It's horrible.
Really?
There's a lot of consequences for getting hacked.
Yeah.
So to all you people out there, two-factor authentication. Two-factor authentication.
Yeah.
My bad. Anyway, it doesn't really matter, though. It's kind of better off. I'm really better off for it so far. But anyway, on a positive note, thanks for coming on.
Yeah.
You're a wonderful guest.
Thank you.
I could talk about the shit you talk about
yeah.
too for hours, but I feel like we really started touching into it. We got it. We got a great amount of time. And if there's anything else you got, great. Otherwise, cool. Thank you very much for watching.
Yeah, thank
Really
you.
looking forward to having you at
Yeah,
the
look-
show, doing
I'm
your
looking forward
thing,
to the
dude.
show.
That's
Oh
going to
my
be
God.
great.
Oh my
So,
God, thank
really
you.
looking forward to that.
Yeah.
Thank you. That's so exciting.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm glad I was able to connect you guys.
Yes, and thank you.
Thanks, TJ. All right, everybody. Peace out.
Fantastic.
Sonic Tributaries. Rock on.
Cool.